everybody? Back with a brand new Cabral HouseCall. Hopefully you're able to tune into yesterday's show. Today is episode 3579. So if you didn't get to check out yesterday's questions from the community, we went over skin-based rashes, skin issues with hidradenitis suppurativa. So check that out. We talked about shellfish. How often is too often to be eating shellfish? Talked about oral lichen planus, which is basically, it's not an infection, but essentially a rash, an inflammation of sometimes the soft palate in the back of the mouth. We went over a teenager looking to put on muscle, best supplements for them. And then we also talked about morning nausea, what it may be, and how to figure it out by using the variable test. That's what we do. All right, so let's dive right into it. New questions today. You can find them at stephencabral.com/3579. First question's from Gabby. Gabby says, hello, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for your work and the work that you're doing. And sorry for the long question. No problem at all, Gabby. Happy to help. I'm 19-year-old female, and I've been struggling with gut issues since I was a baby. Bloating, constipation, diarrhea, gas, nausea, and so forth. I've had functional medicine, conventional blood work done. My progesterone tested low, and my estrogen was low. I have the symptoms of very high androgen and testosterone, despite conventional testing showing normal levels. I've been diagnosed with low cortisol and adrenal fatigue. My thyroid panels are good. I've been struggling with low B12 and vitamins, maybe not knowing that I had the MTHFR. I've had severe menstrual cramps since getting married recently. I can't afford more testing, but I'm wondering how all this connects. Okay, so happy to help with this. I do have to just give this public service announcement, and I feel this is important. People run their labs all over the world, all over the place, and then they're asking our team for advice. And of course, we are always going to give you advice. Run your labs with Ecolife or an integrative health practitioner level 2 or level 3. That's it. And why I say that is this. The lab numbers don't matter if your practitioner doesn't implement the right plan and the right phased plan, right? Like the numbers don't matter. If you run your blood work or you run functional medicine, integrative health labs, and you should know how to do it, that the practitioner needs to, but there's levels of practitioners, like there's levels of accountants, levels of executives, levels of hairstylists, right? Like there are different levels. So that's my public service. Now, of course, I'm going to help Gabby. So if you have bloating, constipation, diarrhea, gas, nausea, there's either, again, I have to give you my disclaimer and then I can talk freely. I can't provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. Okay. So most likely Gabby is dealing with bacterial overgrowth in her gut, fungal overgrowth in her gut, food sensitivities, H. pylori, or parasites. And most likely there's some leaky gut with that as well. So we need to figure out which one of those 4 or 5 it is. Is it bacteria? Is it yeast? Is it parasites? Is it food sensitivities? Is it H. pylori? Those are the 5. And then there's leaky gut. So if we don't know, then we have to do all the plans, Gabby, right? So we are going to do the parasupport protocol first. I have a whole podcast on the roadmap, the protocol roadmap, but basically you're going to do the detox to start. Open up detox and drainage pathways, then the parasite protocol, which is called the parasupport protocol, then the CBO protocol, and then the CBO finisher. And that's how we're going to do it. So, but lab testing would narrow it down if needed. So I just want to share that. Now, hormones will most likely get better when the inflammation is down, the stress is down, and you're not bloated all the time. So if you're only working on hormones right now, it's going to be hard to regulate those, right? Especially if cortisol is dysregulated. But if you ran the stress mood and metabolism test, you'd be able to see that. So all of these are able to be seen by running the big 5 labs plus the stool test, which tests for parasites and H. pylori. All right. So the big 5 labs are at stephencabral.com/big and the number 5. But Gabby, that's how we would phase it. And then of course we'd be helping with hormones at the same time, but conventional blood work is not going to cut it. You should run your blood work, but it's not going to give you an underlying root cause. All right, Liz is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I have a very large fluid-filled, non-malignant cyst on my thyroid. When I swallow it, looks like a golf ball is in there. Doctor said it's nothing to worry about. It's kind of scary, right? If a doctor says it to you. I've got this golf ball on my Adam's apple, but nothing to worry about. I mean, that's wild. All my thyroid labs, including antibodies, came back normal. Food sensitivity tests at a couple years ago showed dairy and eggs being a problem, but they were a big part of my diet. for the past couple of years until recently. I'm currently in week 1 of your 21-day detox. My question is there any way to shrink or eliminate the cyst without having a procedure? Thanks. Okay. So if this is just a benign fluid-based cyst, what we might be able to do is something like the 21-day detox plus 2 proteolytic enzymes on an empty stomach to start the day. It can be really powerful, very helpful, and sometimes we use fluorofilm as well. So we've seen that work exceptionally well. And then, of course, being on a good anti-inflammatory diet going forward that we talked about, and then just using the basics like daily foundational protocol level 2 or level 3, which is essentially daily nutritional support, daily omega-3 support, you get your vitamin D3 in there, and you'll add maybe the daily fruit and vegetable blend, daily probiotic support, something like that. So that's where we start. And then again, our idea though for the thyroid is make sure your TSH is below a 2.0, right? Above a 0.5, below a 2.0. TPO antibodies below a 50. And then T3, depending on what lab you use, just in the optimal range. All right. So hopefully that's helpful, Liz. Noah is up next. Noah says, hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm 24 and recently recovered from mono, but I've been feeling exhausted ever since, almost like my body can't fully bounce back. My doctor says it's just post-viral fatigue, but I'm wondering if there's more to it, like EBV reactivation or mitochondrial depletion. Would be your next step to rebuild energy naturally. So we've got some younger listeners writing in. I love that. Love that. We had a 15-year-old yesterday, I think 19-year-old Gabby today, and 24-year-old, 24-year-old Noah, 24-year-old Noah today. Okay. So here's what I want to share with you. I did a whole podcast on this. It is called post-viral inflammatory syndrome. We call it now long COVID, right? But it's been around forever. It can happen after Epstein-Barr virus. It can happen after mononucleosis, essentially started by EBV, but like this has been around, and it's post-viral fatigue, post-viral inflammatory syndrome. But that doesn't mean that you should not do anything about it, because often it is weakened mitochondria. It is higher levels of inflammation in the body. I have a whole podcast dedicated to this. And so instead of just giving you a 2-minute answer, which I don't want to do because that's not going to serve you, you need to ask yourself, did I take antibiotics? Okay, then it's probably a mitochondrial issue, and it might also be a gut issue. What nutrients do my body need? Usually you need to replete, so add back in your methylated B vitamins. You need to add back in more zinc, sometimes zinc and copper. You need to increase your vitamin D3 to between 50 and 70. So all of these things are like table stakes, really base level, but not, of course, everyone does them, right? If you want to rebuild your mitochondria, we use a product called Cell Boost. And then usually along with it, we use a product called Inflammasoothe. And Inflammasoothe helps reduce the inflammation in the body, like interleukin 6 and cytokines, et cetera, because it has turmeric and a purple sweet potato extract and all these great products in it, right? So it's amazing, amazing product. What else can I share with you? Because again, I want to help, but I want to get you, I never do this because, it just takes up time, but I'm going to go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, and we're going to look up post-viral inflammatory syndrome for Noah, post-viral inflammatory. We'll see if we can find this here because I want to get you the show. And then if I can't, just ask at cabralsupportgroup.com because we'll be able to find it for you. Okay, here we go. How to deal with post-viral inflammatory issues, episode 1776. Viral and long-term illness workout protocols, that's 1903. There's a bunch of shows on this, but you can start there, right? Is the long flu worse than COVID? So you can just go to stephencabral.com/podcasts. Anybody can do this and use the search bar. And all I typed in was post-viral inflam. That's literally what I typed in, and these popped up. So at least you can start with episode 1776, but there's so many more after that. I know for sure that is not even the best one. Long haulers, because that's what they were calling it too. Viral symptoms, that's 2148. 4 factors that lead to long COVID, which is the post-viral fatigue. That is episode 2204. Yeah, so many shows. So check that out. You'll be able to find all of those shows and exactly what to do. But essentially, it's 2 parts. 1 is naturally decreasing the inflammation in your body. 2, it's bringing your own immune system back online. Usually we're using Hist-Pro, which has vitamin C and quercetin. We're using vitamin D3. We're using zinc. That's on top of the daily activated multi or daily nutritional support, omega-3s and vitamin D3. Okay, I already mentioned that twice now. But that's with a anti-inflammatory nutrition plan, of course. And then it's gentle movement because we can't exhaust or wear down your body or add more inflammation. Imagine doing a really hard workout, creating muscle damage. That's just more inflammation on top of inflammation. So there's a time and place for everything, and we need to allow the body to heal. Hopefully this was helpful. All right. Thanks for writing in too. Eliza is up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I have a question about my POTS, my post-viral POTS. Okay, post-viral POTS. With POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I had that back in the day as well. I've been dealing with this since January 2024 and how you would try to fix it. My question is, if a viral infection, which are normal and everyone gets, causes autoimmune reaction, what exactly would you target to fix the autoimmunity if the virus is gone and there isn't much more to remove, unlike cases of autoimmunity where a get dysbiosis or heavy metals is causing the disease you now want to remove? I hope that makes sense. Thank you for your time. In your videos you put out, they're very informative. Thank you, Liza. Appreciate that. So having POTS doesn't necessarily mean you have an autoimmune issue. It means that your body's having a very difficult time balancing the autonomic nervous system. I have a whole podcast on this, so definitely go to stephencabral.com/podcast, type in POTS, all capitals, and you'll learn about it. So basically, this is like lightheadedness upon standing, muscle weakness and fatigue, brain fog, heart rate starts to elevate with even just mild exertion. Sometimes bending over leads to accelerated heart rate or dizziness. This is all dysautonomia. That's another word to check out as well. Or myocardial, ME. This is escaping me right now. Encephalitis. Something encephalitis. Why is that escaping my brain right now? I don't know. Maybe it's because it's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Myofascial encephalomyelitis. I think I'm just making up M words for right now, so let's refrain from doing that. But it's referred to as ME. And it's funny because I suffered from this as well and can't literally recall it. But usually it's an imbalance of sodium to potassium and calcium to magnesium, as well as sodium to magnesium. So what we need to do, and what we usually use with individuals, is we don't do long extended fasts. We work on improving their sleep, increasing their deep sleep and REM sleep. We do use electrolyte-based solutions in the morning, and we make sure that we're not depleting them with too many fluids. They're using the daily nutritional support, which has electrolytes, and it has a lot of nutrients. Because when I've tested these people in my own practice, they have very low levels of what's called specific gravity. Specific gravity essentially shows you, wow, this person has very little extra minerals in their saliva, or you can test it urine-based as well. So that's what we do. We gently add in electrolytes, but we're not, it's not an electrolyte-based problem. We're working on the adrenals. And that is because for probably some period of time, viral-based, inflammatory-based, we increase levels of aldosterone. Aldosterone is a stress-based hormone. You can call it a hormone, you can call it a neurotransmitter, but essentially what it's doing is it's signaling to the kidneys to essentially hold on to sodium, dump potassium, and it can cause all sorts of then imbalances in electrolytes. And you feel it sometimes in irregular heart rate, or sometimes you feel it in lightheadedness, dizziness, weakness, fatigue, etc. So that's how we work on that. Probably the best lab, two best labs, minerals and metals test, and then also the stress, mood, and metabolism test to look at cortisol. All right, so that's how we resolve that, Eliza. And there's many more. Eliza has a second question. Looks like that's our last question for the day. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I have another question regarding autoimmune diseases. I'm a 21-year-old male. We've got a lot of young listeners today. I love it. 21-year-old male, and soon I will be fixing all of my root causes for my suspected autoimmune POTS disease. I've completed the big five, but my question is, will I ever be able to drink alcohol again, like beer, for example, or will it always be a risk for reactivating the autoimmune disease? I see many functional doctors saying only 1 to 2 beverages, but does it really have to be just that amount, or can you drink more? Also, I heard you mention binge drinking cause epigenetic immune shift. What exactly is that, and can it be fixed? If I do drink, will I need to avoid eating fast food in the same time, even if it's on occasion? Thank you for the amazing videos. Okay, so yes, I understand what you're saying. You're in college, or probably, you're 21 years old. I get it. I was 21 as well, and in college, I definitely consumed alcohol. So what I would say is that it depletes your mineral-based levels every time you consume alcohol. That means, so again, you may have an autoimmune issue that you're just not stating. Maybe you have rheumatoid arthritis like I did in college. Maybe you have Hashimoto's. Maybe you have, wow, these M words are really getting me, huh? Wow, I don't know what it is today. We'll just have to say that I'm human and I'm fallible, and sometimes my mind is not going there. Muscular dystrophy was actually this one that I was looking at. But anyway, okay, so lupus, etc. What I want to share with you is this, is that it will. So the more alcohol you consume, the more depletion there will be in your electrolytes and minerals. What this does mean is that, yes, eventually you fix your autoimmune issues. I fixed mine. I can consume alcohol if I want or not. I'll be inflamed the next day like most humans. But there's a couple things you can do. So you'll drink an electrolyte drink while you're also out. So even like after I got better, I would always do this. I would literally have an alcoholic drink, and then in between, I would drink a drink of some cranberry, a whole squeeze of lime, and some water. And what that enabled me to do was with the little bit of splash of cranberry juice at a bar with the lime. First of all, it looks like a alcoholic drink, right? But I'm getting more minerals back in my body. You could also bring with you a little stick pack of electrolytes, mix them right in there, and then you get your electrolytes, your sodium, magnesium, potassium, etc., right back in your body. The electrolyte company that I like right now is called Relights by Redmond's. I think they have the best ratio. So it's about like a 2.5 to 1 from sodium, potassium. It doesn't overdo sodium. So that's what I would do. And then obviously with the alcohol, when you start drinking alcohol, I would use 2 of the universal binder to bind up at least some of the ethanol and the toxins that you're consuming. So that would be my start. But then also like you said, you ran the big 5. You're going to get a full plan. We're going to help you. Again, I can't give you a medical diagnosis, medical treatments, medical cures, medical advice in any way or guarantees, but we're going to help you get rid of those autoimmune issues. And then when you do, your body's healthy. And so then it's just about filling up the rain barrel. And that depends on, like, let's say you're coming down with a cold and you've been studying for finals all week, you've been getting less sleep, and then you start binge drinking. Remember, that fills up the rain barrel really quick. But if you're healthy and it's no big deal and you want to go out and have a few drinks with your friends once a week, honestly, you're going to be okay. All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning into today's show. I thank you for being a part of this community. I appreciate you. It's great to see the younger listeners coming in. So let's keep on sharing the show. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Cabral concept. Take care.